Okay, so I've been promising you more Masters of the Universe for a while, and I keep getting distracted by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is fine when you've got Turtles of Grayskull, which has both, but and I'm sure a lot of you guys like seeing the Ninja Turtle stuff, and if you do, don't worry, there's going to be more on the way. But I know some of you have been chomping at the bit for more Masters of the Universe, and I've got one for you here today. It's the new Eternia Roboto. So let's have a look at some of the artwork here. We got Roboto, and he looks a little more menacing than usual. It looks as if he's got like some glowing evil eyes in there, and you can see like a skull through the face mask. What's going on? And like, look at this rock guy here. I have no idea who these rock guys are. He's fighting some rock people. There's Roton back there, and Skeletor just standing there looking all smug. And who's that behind Skeletor? I guess that's another rock man. But and we got over here Roboto looking, at least slightly more heroic, and then he's got like a different face mask. So we're going to talk about that because we're about to read this bio. Roboto, mechanical warrior. Skeletor still away with Man-at-Arms' latest creation, Roboto, using his diabolical havoc magic. Skeletor reprograms the artificial intelligence to do his evil bidding. Well, that actually happens in the original mini-comic that Roboto came with, so shouldn't really come as a surprise to anyone, should it? And then the cross-saw artwork. You can see the other figures I've already opened in this assortment. We have King Randor and Beastman, and then Roboto down here at the bottom. So this is the third and final figure from this wave that I have left to open up. So let's go ahead and do that right now. And it's taped on the sides again. And you'd think I'd remember that. Come on. There we go. And I'm probably about to sneeze. Just warning you guys, I'm probably about to sneeze. I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Like it's just that little tickle in your nose where it's coming. And you're trying to prepare for it. And I hate it when you got to sneeze, you feel it coming on, you're going to have to sneeze, and then all of a sudden you don't have to sneeze anymore. And then you're like, what were you getting all my alertness up for? And then you just wind up sneezing anyway when you weren't even expecting it. So it's got a little paper envelope in here with some other accessories. And let's see what we've got in here. Be very careful that I don't accidentally drop any of these on the floor. So he's got like a purple faceplate on his face already, and then there's this red faceplate that's also in the bag. We are going to talk more about that. And then this flamethrower. It looks a lot to me like the flamethrower that they had in Aliens. It's kind of reminiscent of that. And this claw, which is articulated, so you can grab stuff with the claw. So that's pretty cool. And he's got a couple of other alternate hands. He's got this blade weapon. We're going to talk about that as soon as I get that out. But if I remember correctly, the original Roboto had like a clamp and an axe. What else did he have? A clamp and an axe and a blaster of some kind. But this is just unambiguously a flamethrower. You can see it's got like the little canister on there to hold some fuel, and rather than the clamp, it's got this claw, and rather than an axe, it does look somewhat like that axe on the original figure. This is actually like a whirling blade. And then Roboto himself also has an extra robotic hand, which I don't remember the original one having that. I don't think it did. And to be fair, I never had the original Roboto when I was a kid. So he's not a character that I've got like a whole lot of nostalgic affection for. I don't dislike Roboto, certainly. But he's not one of my core characters because I didn't have the figure as a child. So I didn't play with him. So I don't really have like a whole lot of like memories of Roboto like I might have of, say, Stratos. And, Stratos isn't exactly my favorite Masters Universe character either, but I don't dislike Stratos. I don't dislike Roboto. But there are other characters that take priority for me. And I think everybody's like that. Everybody has certain characters in Masters Universe where they're just like, I don't really care about this character as much as I care about some of the other characters. Now, I always remember Roboto as having a silver helmet, and this one instead has a clear dome-like helmet. We can see his positronic brain in there. I'm sorry, I watched Bicentennial Man the other day, so that line was stuck in my head. Bobby Wald is here and says, I like that weed eater attachment that Roboto comes with. Yeah, that's one way to look at it, certainly. So he's got the gears in the chest, just like the original Roboto. And if I remember correctly, that Roboto, you would turn his chest like the same way that a lot of those were activated by turning the torso, like the spring-loaded punch that He-Man had or whatever. So you'd turn his chest back and forth, and that would move the gears. But this one instead has a dial on the back, so you can rotate it. And I mentioned that in the original mini-comic, Skeletor had taken over Roboto and was controlling him, and that had something to do with the fact that Man-at-Arms hadn't put the heart in him yet, I think. So once he put the heart in him, he was a good guy. So if we imagine this being the mind-controlled version of Roboto, you do notice that he has no heart. So, and one thing about this is, like I said, it's got these swappable faceplates. The original Roboto had a red faceplate that looked kind of similar to this one. It's just it was red instead of purple, and you could move his jaw. And this one seems like it doesn't really want to move that much. You can kind of move it a little bit, but I think it's more meant to be just removable. So let's go ahead and take it off. I'm just gonna have to be like really careful with it. These pegs are like really deep in here, and it's not like a particularly flexible piece of plastic. I don't think they both seem like they're fairly rigid. So I'm kind of worried that I'm gonna break this thing as I pull it off. So I'm being very, very careful with it. And we can see underneath that Roboto does indeed have that skull with the teeth underneath. So he's got actual teeth underneath his faceplate. And if you look through his visor, you can see the eye is in there. So he's got like a whole skull set up underneath this clear helmet. And this red visor seems designed to be a little more fearsome. And also almost like it's supposed to show that skull and show that this is a Roboto that has been corrupted by Skeletor's havoc magic, as I mentioned on the box. So let's go ahead and get that in there. And that's what he looks like with that faceplate. Now, if I were designing this toy and I were going to do this, I would have done it differently, because I would have had the more old school type faceplate be red like the original faceplate was, and I would have had this new faceplate that's a brand new design, I would have had that one be purple and have that one be unambiguously, this is what he looks like when he's been corrupted by the evil of Skeletor. So, yeah, like, I don't know why Mattel chose to design it that way, but that's the way they chose to design it. And man, he is a cool looking figure with all the see-through parts and everything. The metallic blue looks really nice with the silver gauntlets, the silver boots, the red legs with the kind of gunmetal color for the shin, the thigh armor and parts of the shin guards. And I do happen to have over here the Masterverse version of Man-E-Faces. And the original version of Roboto reused the lower half of Man-E-Faces. And I did want to compare the two of them. And it does indeed look as if this is the same parts that the new Eternia Man-E-Faces had. So it makes sense that they'd reuse the parts from this Man-E-Faces on this Roboto, since they reused the parts on the original Roboto from the original Man-E-Faces. But we can see them both together real quick. There we go. And why don't I go ahead and turn his head to the robot position so they can both be robots. Isn't that fun? All right. Moving on. So let's go ahead and talk about his articulation before I get into talking about the accessories. So Roboto can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, or rotate the head all the way around. You know, I like I said, I don't really have that much nostalgic affection for this character, but I will say that I did think they did a really good job with him as far as when they adapted Roboto on the the Netflix cartoon. I'm drawing a blank on the name of Revelation. I really liked how they handled the character on Revelation. So kudos to them on that. I know it's a source of controversy, and a lot of people don't like that show, but I liked it. There are things I might have done differently, but for the most part, I liked it. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so the arms rotate all the way around at the shoulders. They raise up to the sides about that far, and I did want to get the Revelation version of Roboto, but I just missed out on it. And I was thinking about looking it up to see if I could get it for a good price. But then I saw they were coming out with this guy, and I'm like, he looks even cooler. I'm going to get that. So he's got double jointed elbows, but since he's a Masters Universe character, they are kind of muscle bound. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. Oh, and he does have a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all the way around. And of course, the wrist rotates all the way around and then moves back and forth. It's got a horizontal hinge on it. It looks like both of them have horizontal hinges. So he does not have the typical mid-torso joint underneath the rib cage that a lot of Masterverse figures have, since he's got this funky torso with the gears and everything in it. Let's get a look at those gears moving again. I just think that's so cool. So they did sacrifice a little bit of articulation for the gimmick, which I kind of feel like sometimes that's merited and sometimes it's not. And I do feel like this is a time when they did the right thing, because if you want Roboto, you want him to have those moving gears in there. That was part of the appeal of the original figure. So I think it would have been a shame to not have those in there at all. But he does rotate all the way around to the waist. Roboto can kick up about that far, which is pretty limber for a robot. He does have a thigh cut, so the thigh rotates all the way around. I guess because this is an older one, he doesn't have those drop down joints that some of the newer Masterverse figures had, but not this one. And then, oh man, this is a really stiff joint here, but he's got double jointed knees. I'm trying to get this one to move. Ugh, there we go. Never force your action figure joints, but sometimes I gently coax them. So, but never force them. Never do that. So anyway, that's about the range of motion that you get at the knee. And then he does have a boot cut, so the boot rotates all the way around. Roboto's foot can point down about that far and point up about that far, and then it rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the foot. So now that we got that out of the way, we've already talked about one of these accessories, well, two of these accessories, because we talked about both of these face plates. Let's go ahead and get on to swapping out these hands and getting a look at some of these accessories. Now we can see that there's the peg there on the flamethrower, so we can plug that right in, and that does seem to be like a separate piece of plastic from the rest of it. That's like I think they probably made it like that kind of waxy plastic they usually use on the joints. I always call it waxy plastic. I think it's nylon technically, but it should be more sturdy for this type of joint than the styrene type plastic this is made of. Earth Dude is here, and he says, "We Batman," and says, "Ayo, Alan Dude, ayo, right back at you." So one difference with this version of Roboto over the other, the original version, is that since Masterverse figures have alternate, you can swap out the hands anyway, we can put two of these accessories onto his hands at the same time. So he can be blasting dudes with his flamethrower and chopping them up with his weed whacker. just be a one-man army practically. Pretty badass. I'm surprised they didn't give us like a little flame to go into the flamethrower, because it seems like Mattel's been doing a lot of that kind of stuff lately, like with the blasts and everything, like how Cobra Khan had that venom that spit out of his mouth. But yeah, so I do really like the way they did the axe where it spins around now. That's really cool. And we got the claw, so we might as well have a look at that. And like I said, I remember the original one, it being more of a clamp than a claw. And I kind of wish they made it a little more similar to that. I could be mistaken. I could be misremembering. But there are these cool accessories that we can swap out. And like I said, he's got 2 actual hands this time, so you don't necessarily have to have them with one of the accessories in there. You can just have them with hands and have them hold like regular accessories if you want to. But I'm gonna put the flamethrower back in there because the flamethrower is definitely my favorite of these accessories. So there we go. So he can just be causing all kinds of trouble. Skeletor, why'd you got to brainwash this poor guy? Look, he's going up against He-Man, and He-Man needed to have that battle armor because he's up against a guy with a weed whacker and a flamethrower. And speaking of characters with blasts on their hands, here we're going to have him next to Hordak. So since Hordak does have this blast, I'm going to see if I can fit it onto Roboto, because sometimes this stuff is interchangeable and sometimes it's not. And it seems like this is a time where it's not. So it's not going to fit in there. It's a little too thick, unfortunately. But if only they'd made the barrel of the flamethrower a little bit wider, I could have put this blast effect in there. But, oh well, I guess they didn't think about that, did they? So anyway, Roboto is a really cool figure, and I'm really glad that I picked him up. He was definitely worth picking up. Jose Membrane is here and says, I was just about to watch your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 88 Big Pack, but then I saw you go live, so I'll wait. Well, yeah, you can always go back and watch it, once this is done. There's no problem in that. But yeah, we're gonna have more Ninja Turtle stuff on the way soon too, because I was going through my box, my bin with the Ninja Turtle stuff in there, and I wanted to pull out all of my old NECA, the issue number 1 Ninja Turtles, because those are my favorite Ninja Turtles figures. So I already had Raphael out, and I dug out Leonardo, and I dug out Donatello, and I kept digging through the box, and I couldn't find Michelangelo. And then I'm like, where's Michelangelo? Why isn't he in this box? And it was really bothering me, and I wound up I just bought another one on eBay. So you can't have just 3 of the Ninja Turtles. You got to have all 4 of them. So I'll be having that coming up soon, and some other Ninja Turtles things. So we'll have more Ninja Turtles in the future. But yeah, we got Roboto today. We're almost done with this guy. But I really like this figure. I'm really happy with it. He's definitely worth picking up. Like when those came out, when those were announced, I had a lot of stuff on pre-order already at that time. So I pre-ordered King Randor because I just could not resist that handsome head sculpt on that. He's just such a good looking guy. Like, how could I resist? The shaved head and the beard with some gray in it. Like, that's a good looking dude. And again, I'm not saying that somebody at Mattel saw my videos and based the King Randor figure off of me. I'm just saying that if somebody from Mattel saw my videos and decided to base a King Randor figure off of me, that's exactly what the King Randor figure would look like. I'm just saying it's a coincidence, I'm sure. But but yeah, Roboto's really cool, and I'm glad I finally got to finish off this wave. I wound up buying both Beastman and Roboto at Walmart, and they still got just a ton of Keldor figures at that Walmart. The King Keldor figure from Revolution, and I want to buy that figure eventually. I've decided I'm going to buy that figure because how can I resist William Shatner as a He-Man character? But it's kind of hard for me to pull the trigger on it just because there's so many there that aren't selling. And I'm like, I know the second I buy this thing, it's going to go on clearance. So I keep holding out on it. and actually, I'm probably going to wind up buying 2 of them. So because I've got a cool custom idea for one. So I will wind up buying an extra one. But I think that about wraps up the Roboto episode. He's a really cool figure. You should definitely pick him up. Even if you're somebody like me that you didn't have the original Roboto when you were a kid, so you don't necessarily have that nostalgic affection for him, some other people might, he's still a really cool figure and definitely worth picking up. And like kind of the way that they tied this figure in with the original mini comic story with him being mind controlled by Skeletor, that's another thing that just makes this figure so much cooler to me. So I definitely recommend picking him up. So next episode, I think since I opened this, I'm not sure when the next episode is going to be. I wasn't even sure I was going to do this episode because I'm going to go visit my mom later today. But I wound up coming back by my house because I forgot something. And I figured, well, while I'm there, I might as well open up this Roboto. Oh, by the way, I noticed something is that I was watching just some stuff on YouTube earlier today, just like looking for things to watch to kill some time. And since I've been thinking about Ninja Turtles recently, you saw the community post, I'm sure, where we were talking about the color of the mutagen, and I said the mutagen was purple, and I forget who it was, said, since when is mutagen purple? And I'm like, I know it's been purple. I had purple mutagen when I was a kid. It came in two colors. There was green and purple mutagen. But I went back and watched the original origin of the Ninja Turtles from the 87 cartoon, from the first episode. And sure enough, the mutagen that's in there is purple. Yeah, the Ghostbuster, the Ghostbuster slime, the ectoplasm, that stuff was definitely purple. And it was purple in part 2 also when we saw it. But yeah, they made both green and purple for the Ninja Turtles toy line. But anyway, when I was rewatching the origin to confirm, because I'm like, was it purple on the cartoon? I got to check it out. The short sword that I was talking about that came with Shredder looks an awful lot like the sword that Oroku Saki uses to pin Hamato Yoshi's kimono to the wall so he can't bow down. And then when he reaches back to see what he's pinned with, he winds up pulling this thing out. So I'm pretty sure they designed it to look like that on purpose. So kudos to them for doing that. When you go back and watch it, Jose, you'll see what I'm talking about. But, while I wasn't too crazy about this Shredder figure, spoiler on that, I do think that's a really nice detail. Yeah, Jose says, I never knew about the purple mutagen slime. That's cool. Yeah, like I wasn't sure if maybe I was confusing it in my brain with the ectoplasm, because I knew the ectoplasm was purple, but I was like, I could have sworn that there was purple mutagen in the toy line. And I guess it's one of those things where, like, you kind of instinctively think of slime as being purple or as it being green. But yeah, they did make it green on getting so mixed up. They did make it purple on the cartoon though, so that's that was accurate. Yeah, that was the episode with the Ram Man, with the Turtles of Grayskull Ram Man, and I was saying, oh well, it's because they mixed the slime with the ooze, and the ooze is purple, and people were like, why is the ooze purple? Like, when was the ooze purple? And I'm like, it was at some point, I can't remember where. I'm pretty sure they made it in both colors, and sure enough, they did. I looked it up and saw, yep, they made the ooze in both purple and green. So, but yeah, there's a community post on that I put up where I took some stills from the YouTube clip and posted it, so you can see the purple mutagen on the show. Earth Dude says, take care, dude. Take care yourself. Always good seeing you. And that wraps up this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the YouTube stuff down below. YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, so I like to say like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I like it when you leave comments, and let me know what you think about Roboto, both the character and the figure in general. I know when they introduced him on the cartoon, he had a completely different origin. And I don't think Man-at-Arms even invented him. I think he was just a robot from another planet. And like Man-at-Arms did some repairs to him or something. But in the mini comic, he definitely built Roboto. And on the Revelation cartoon, he definitely built Roboto. So I'm gonna say that the origin of Roboto, where he's built by Man-at-Arms, is going to be my personal canon, since that seems to be in more versions than not. Normally, I would defer to Filmation over Revelation on a lot of things, But this is one thing where I'm going to defer to Revelation on that. It's a Man-at-Arms built him. Jose Membrane says, later, everyone. Always good to see you as well. Take care. And we'll see you next time. Bye.